So UFC 307 was a while ago now. Yes, I'm a little late, but there's a few things I'd quickly like to talk about. First of all, the main event was incredible. I try to admit when I'm wrong, and while the fight still ended with Pereira beating the life out of Rountree, Khalil did a lot better than I thought he would. I think everyone had him up 2 rounds going into the third, which I'd probably agree with. But I think there's a few misconceptions with those rounds that I'll address later. Regardless, Rountree did exactly what he needed to do. He was throwing a lot of combinations, moving around a lot, blitzing in, and it seemed like Alex couldn't get any offense going. Khalil was landing the bigger shots, and visually was dealing more damage. Pereira didn't seem to have much of a response to this other than just getting out of range. He was barely throwing any punches and kept resorting to the calf kick and the head kick, which was getting blocked every time. I really don't understand why Alex kept going for it. If Rountree had been able to keep this up for the remaining rounds, or if this was a 3-round fight instead of 5, he would have won. But that didn't happen. And before I continue, I'd like to preface that there's nothing but respect for Khalil Rountree. He gave Alex his toughest championship fight at light heavyweight yet, despite being a massive underdog. But after watching the fight back, I still don't think it was ever really that close. While Khalil was winning those rounds, he was exhausting himself. All those loaded up, powerful 2 or 3 punch combinations might have looked good, but almost none of them landed. Pereira was always just out of range. The only reason Rountree had success with these was because he did it so much. He'd occasionally get lucky and clip Alex with the last punch in the chain. With such a gap in skill and experience, this is what he had to do if he wanted to connect at all with his big shots. So after Pereira survived the first 2 rounds, Khalil was gassed out, and his leg was beaten up by the calf kicks that Alex kept landing while he was losing. Rountree's movement slowed, he stopped blitzing in, and Alex took over from there. Rountree actually said after the fight that he wasn't that tired and his cardio wasn't a problem, but I don't believe that. There was a clear difference in his movement and output between rounds 2 and 3. Khalil said that what started giving him problems was Pereira's jab, but Pereira was only able to start using his jab once Rountree started to become more stationary and stopped blitzing in so much. To be fair to Rountree, they were in Salt Lake City. This place is where UFC fighters' hopes and dreams go to die. When Khalil got the call to fight Pereira, he should have just hung up the second he heard where it was going to be.
The UFC have got to stop doing these events in Utah. No benefit to the fighters, and it's just going to make fights worse.
All right, bye. He said, I apologize and I agree with you 100% in what you're doing.
For those who don't know, higher elevation can affect cardio because there's less oxygen in the air. Sometimes it'll only be a minor difference, sometimes major. And Salt Lake City being over 4,000 feet above sea level has a history of fighters not particularly enjoying having to compete there. Alex Pereira actually started training in Salt Lake City 3 weeks prior to the fight, so his body could acclimate to the elevation, and the first few days he said there was a noticeable difference. I also want to mention the moment where Rountree knocked down Pereira. Alex was not hurt here. Everyone's freaking out like Khalil almost finished him when that just wasn't the case. Pereira threw a head kick, Rountree ducked under, Pereira was then off balance and facing the other direction. Rountree hit him with his wrist, it wasn't even a clean punch, and knocked Pereira down. And then Pereira was right back in Khalil's face like it never happened. It also wasn't even ruled a knockdown because Alex never hit the canvas. Now don't get me wrong, I'm sure Pereira was a little rocked by the shot considering he was literally facing the other direction and couldn't see it coming, but saying he was significantly hurt or close to being finished is a big stretch. The only spot in this fight that Pereira actually looked hurt was in the 3rd round with the body kick. Alex did not like that one. That body kick actually made Pereira back off and try to recover a little bit, unlike everything Khalil threw at him before that. This leads me into what I think one of the biggest takeaways from this fight is. Alex Pereira at 205 is a lot different from Alex Pereira at 185. His body loves not having to cut an extra 20 pounds. Khalil Rountree set that head kick up perfectly. He didn't throw a single kick the whole fight until that point. Alex didn't expect it, and it landed clean. But again, it didn't even seem to faze him. If that was a middleweight Pereira, after a 40-pound weight cut, he probably would have gone out. As for the rest of the card, I missed the Wonder Boy fight because I was at a soccer game. I missed the Kayla Harrison and Kevin Holland fights because I was driving home from the soccer game. But I made it back just in time to watch Mario Bautista sniff Jose Aldo's cup for 15 minutes. I really hope he continues to work his way up the rankings so we can see the absolute back and forth war that would be Bautista versus Merab. I'm joking, obviously. The fight sucked. The decision sucked. Aldo should have won. You can't just hold on to a guy and not throw any shots or try to advance your position for 15 minutes and call that a win. But whatever. Raquel Pennington versus Juliana Pena was alright. I think I had Pena winning, but it was definitely close. I was also half asleep at this point, so if you think Pennington won, then I can't argue against it. I've seen people complaining about this fight being boring, but I didn't think it was that bad. Definitely better than the Bautista-Aldo fight. Not that that says much. That's about it. I hope Khalil Rountree can bounce back from this loss. He should definitely take a break to recover after such a brutal ending. He's a warrior for sure, and I want to see where he goes next. As for Alex Pereira, he said he wants to stay at light heavyweight for now. So Ankalaev or Rakic are next depending on who wins in a couple weeks. Tom Aspinall is going to have to stay on the bench for now, it seems. And Dricus du Plessis is going to have to get through Strickland. That's it. See ya.